Hidden in the heart of Birmingham's jewellery quarter lies a place where history isn't just remembered, it's nailed down. Welcome to the Coffin Works, a restored Victorian factory that once produced the fittings for the finest coffins in Britain, even for royalty. Step inside with us as we explore the stories, secrets, and surprising beauty of a place where death met craftsmanship. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. You will be recommended for more content like this, and it helps us grow in the algorithm with that out of the way. Let's start the tour.
When we went there, they weren't open because we were having a little peek through. And I believe sorry, I didn't. Anyway.
It's okay. Stand over there. Well, hello everybody, welcome to Newman Brothers. My name's Cornelius. A bit of health and safety talk now. As you go around the museum, you'll find the floors are very uneven. Please mind your step. The stairs are very steep. If anybody wants to use the lift, please do. If you need any assistance, just shout up. You can take all the photographs you want, but please leave your flash off. And lastly, should the fire alarm go off, please get out of the building as quickly as possible. I'll be gone already. It doesn't mean I've started it. So we'll get you clocked in now. You place your card in like this, coffin side facing out. Press that lever down and you start the shift.
That's cool, isn't it?
Oh, you used to have one of them.
I was bending mine up as well.
That's mad. when I worked at the skip place, you had one of them.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. Well, probably maybe a little bit.
A day shift about to be done.
It's mad. That is.
That's all right.
Awesome.
That's it all done.
Yeah.
It's a 12-hour shift.
Clocked in now, boss.
So we'll have your passports off you now. We've got accommodation upstairs. You'd like to follow me, please?
That's wicked, that wasn't it? Doing that ding.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to have one of them at the where I used to work ages ago. Old man.
You're also in the headquarters of Birmingham Conservation Trust. Has anybody been to Birmingham's back-to-backs, the slum housing?
No.
I recommend you go there. It's extremely good. We prevented the demolition from here, this organisation. They're about to demolish them. We had a stop put on it, tracked down the former tenants, the tailor, sweet shop owner, taxi rank people, and we got it from that to that. And there's many other projects we work on. So we oversee lots of other buildings in Birmingham. And I also think the back-to-backs are good because you get a sense of the living conditions. Then you come here and you get an idea of the working conditions. Now we'll go outside now. Watch the door and knock you over.
After you guys. Sorry mate, you took the photo.
I'll keep the sun out of it. Now Alfred and Horace Newman started out making little handles for household furniture and office furniture. There were nothing to do with undertaking. And then they started making the furniture as well. So they became cabinet makers. And that was in the early 1800s. And they were based in Nova Scotia Street, about 5 miles from there. And that was at the start of the Industrial Revolution. Now Birmingham was an open city. A lot of towns and cities, you wanted to run a business or work, you had to belong to some sort of organisation, trade, a guild, or even the Masons. Because Birmingham wasn't like that, people poured into Birmingham for the freedom to work and run a business. And that very quickly caused us to run out of cemetery space, and it was causing a boom in undertaking. So Newman's thought we got the woodworking skills, the metal skills, to join in the undertaking industry, become an undertaker supplier. So in 1892, they bought the slum housing there, the back-to-backs, 2 years later, in 1894, the new factory was ready to move into. Now they only brought the metal workers with them. They only used the ground floor to start. And that over there originally was single story all the way down. And that was where the casting shop was. It was the best you could get at the time. Over there were the stables. And a bit further down was this the Ray's workshop. There's a gap between the buildings, a fire ground. So the fire got out of control in the casting shop, it wouldn't spread to the rest of the building. Now they only brought about 14 workers with them. This factory was designed to take 100 people. So it could have all gone wrong overnight. But within 2 years, the workforce had gone up to 77 people. So they were secure. They were on their way. Now, can you see that part of the building there? It looks very modern, because it is. It wasn't finished till about 1970. They sent the casting out to be done by Elkington Silverware, who were one of the best silversmiths in the world, and they started buying stuff in off a company called White, which is still going there. Then the top floor is still used today for its original purpose, boardroom and offices. And that bit there, which is now our coffee shop, is where they started doing complete coffees. But they weren't very well organised. They had nowhere to store complete coffins, so they compromised with flat packing. So they beat IKEA to it. But undertakers didn't like that idea. They said, we spend a lot of money with you, now you want us to start putting the coffins together as well? We don't think so. We'll just go back to our old business arrangement. So that bit there fell out to use after 2 years. So that's why it's now our coffee shop. Believe it or not, that was protected to grow tourism. That's because it's all part of the history. This whole museum was grow tourist. Now can you see the big window here? The reason why that window is so different to all the other windows is that's how they got the heavy machinery in and out of the room. There's two advantages to a big window. One is it allows more light into the room when the gas lighting's on. And secondly, you want to put another machine in or take a machine out, it's easier than taking out 2 windows and 2 lots of brickwork. Plus, the window ledge is lower. We'll be going in that room in a moment and demonstrating the original Victorian machine. Now come up this way, please. You start taking all the photographs you want. Now can you see the outline of the brickwork here? This is where the outside shed is.
Sorry, mate.
The bottom end is where the dirt hole was, all the dirt from the casting. The horse manure was stored there as well, and the coal and the coke. And then here in the middle was the dipping shed. That's the proper trade. Here they call it the dipping shed. It had tanks full of sulfuric acid, nitrogen, caustic, hot water, cold water, and all the chemicals were heated up with gas flames underneath. This shed had no doors on it, no windows, just gaps in the wood so the breeze could travel through the shed and take away the acid. And this will be operated by a boy who's young as 14 years old. The form will get all the handles from the casting shop, bring a metal basket, acid resistant, leave them outside the shed. The boy would then come out, take a basket into the shed with 2 baskets, lower them into the acid, turn his face away and let go. You don't splash acid onto your face. You've got to get it on your clothes, you don't want it. Then after a set amount of time, you lift them out, rinse them off, and then you put them in the tank with nitric acid. I've worked with it, it's very unpleasant, but this time you do not let go of the acid. You just lower it in and it starts to react straight away. And it gives off clouds billowing the ground. You just lift it up and down, keep looking away, you don't want to bring it in either. And when it starts to look nice and shiny, you rinse them off again, and then you sort through them. The faulty ones are remelted, then the good ones are taken over here to the barrel shop. And look this way. Now you read this board here, only take about a minute. Don't worry about that one, just read this board, then I'll demonstrate one of the machines. Now we come down to the two windows here, this one and that one, and look down into the basement. You will see one of the barrels working. There's also a TV screen.
Okay.
It takes a few seconds to start. If you press the green button, it's not going to do.
Okay. Okay. Cheers.
You then take your handles over to the electroplating shop. Have you seen that being done? Where you change the colour of metal using electricity.
I might try and look at that.
Have you seen that being done?
Yeah.
It was done in that room there. There are two lines of tanks. One was for the bright brass finish
Also,
and the other one for the bright nickel finish.
some white to
And the
it.
lady in charge of that room, whose job it was
Cheers,
to
mate.
ensure everything left that workshop nice and shiny and clean, the nickname is Diamond Lil. That's a nice nickname to have, isn't it? Diamond Lil. Oh,
Hi,
sorry.
Connie, sorry.
What we're going to do now, we're going to go up this end of the yard.
Is it still? Yeah.
Now, can you see the archway there? You have the steps leading the front here. The foreman will go down, duck his head, go down into the basement and light the gas engine. That ran all the machinery off leather belts and shafting like they do in the cotton mills and linen mills. It also ran a dynamo to generate electricity for the electroplating shop. It was extremely noisy, it wouldn't hurt you, it would just backfire. You could hear it as you walked up the road to work. Now can you see the whitewash on the back wall here? This is the back wall of the men and women's outside toilets. They placed them on top of the gas engine to discourage you from spending too much time in the toilet. Also, the toilets are inside the building that take up valuable production space. So wherever you can, keep your toilets, your sheds and your stables outside for the same reason. They take up valuable production space. Now we're going to go into the stamp room now. If you follow me, please. Come down to it and I'll go back that way. So. Welcome to the stamp room. Now you bring your handles in here to get the back plates. And this is one of the back plates which are made in here with the handle attached to it. Let's come a little bit closer, please. Can I pass that round? Thank you. The back plates are made of tin.
Yep.
And there's up to 15 people working in this room, men and women. The women work by the windows and the men work on that side. Thank you. Now can you see this pipe here across the window? This is where the gas lighting was. Just a naked flame in front of every window, like a big Bunsen burner. And can you see the little shed over there with the chimney on?
Yep.
I call that the Wendy house. That's the furnace for melting the metal in here. Believe it or not, with a heat of 15 bodies, all the cigarette smoke, the gas lighting and the furnace, they've still got ice inside the windows in the winter. So that's how hard it was to heat the old housing and factories. Now when this workshop closed in 2007, their last year of manufacturing, they got ice inside the windows, even then. Now these steel blocks you can see lying around along the tables are called dies, and this is what the back plates come out of. And the men who sink the pattern into them, they're called die sinkers. The last man to do it here was Mr. Ray. He started work when he was 12 in 1930, and he was still working when he was 70. That's what you call job security, 12 to 7. You wouldn't get that today. It could take Mr. Ray 2 months, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, just to finish one, sink the pattern in. He would have 2 patterns on the go. He would have an elaborate one for the daylight hours, and then when they were using the gas lighting, he would do simpler, plainer patterns. You can make mistakes with gas light and you get headaches as well. Also, Mr. Ray has to remember to do everything in reverse, the wrong way around. So when you take the tin plate out, it's the right way around. We have examples of that. There's one there, and another one there. I put in the bottom of one of these. They're called drop stamps. And the men's job title is drop stamper, quite straightforward. I'm an ex-drop stamp, but I used to use these all around here to make classic motorbike exhausts, police badges, military badges, hotel wear, and even silverware, candlesticks and things like that. Now the main way of operating these is with your foot. Take all the pictures you want, it's a bit spooky. Like a set of gallows now. You put a leather belt in here, like a heavy duty dog collar, put your foot in the leather belt, and there's a way of flicking the rope, kick your leg, let go of the rope, and you operate it with your foot. You've got to have very good hand and foot coordination. If you don't, you won't be able to earn a living, and secondly, you will end up having a serious accident.
Mm-hmm.
And in the early days, it's all piecework. You've got to be very, very fast. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch the machines on for you. If you want to get your cameras ready, please do. And these are the original ones that came for that big window. And everybody has to work down in the pit here. And once you go down, you have to stay down. Trying to come out while your colleagues are working is very dangerous.
You just stamp that one, rest in peace.
You can see why you need good hand and foot coordination.
Yeah.
Now, we'd only put it on that's called the prop. First thing in the morning and when you go home. We have to use it frequently because it's in a museum. So it stays on your foot all day long. And in the early days it was 12 hours a day. And what does RIP stand for?
Rest in peace.
Return if possible. Or rot in peace. We only say it at Halloween though. Now we make our way back up that way a little bit please. Tall people at the back, you'll see why in a moment. I'll show you what the ladies used to do. Up that way a bit more please. I've got to do that safety rope across. Can you all see okay? You sit down if you want to. Now, the women would operate these. They're called fly presses because they fly around. They'd operate these every 2 seconds for 8 hours a day. It's a very elegant design, a very old design. The whole idea is to get the machine to do the work. That's just scrap taken off, throw the scrap away, and the RIP falls through the machine, through the bench, into a tray on the floor. And just do that every few seconds. I'll do another one. Same again, throw the scrap away, and just keep doing that non-stop. That's a modern requirement. The women would refuse to use that. That would slow them off. So it'd be a lot faster than that. We've only got one record of an accident in this workshop, and it was in the 70s. A very experienced man working on the drop stamps blinked at the wrong time and chopped his 2 fingers off. He was back at work within 2 weeks, and they gave a slight increase in his weekly wage as compensation till he retired. But he never worked in this room again. You'd like to follow me down to the far end of the workshop, please. So do look at the dies here, they're like beautiful photographs. Now this is our big hammer. It's the biggest one we got, and it only ever stands for these, which are called breastplates. And they go on the coffin lid at breast height. They also done the engraving here, where they put your name on, your date of birth, and the date you pass away, using a hand tool or the pantograph machine. One of these today, at Newman's prices, with the engraving on, would be about £300. So the undertaker's got to buy one of these, up to 8 handles, the coffin lid, the coffin body, and everything else. So Newman's are very exclusive and very expensive. Want to pass that round, please? When this hammer dropped, it would drop every 10 seconds, and it would shake the whole building.
What's in it?
You can put your order in now, can't you? Just
There used to be a pub next door called the Chapel Inn, and the menu in this was on, they could see the ripple on top of the beer every 10 seconds. And come back into it. So you imagine when this one was going, when all them were going, what a noisy, busy shop this was. Too hot in the summer, too cold in the winter. I'll hold that there for anyone who wants to take a photograph to get a sense of scale. Now, it was all women that worked in here, 4 women. The majority of the workers here were female, and also on this side of the factory. So you get all your metal products, bring them up here, and by mixing them about, you get a bigger product range. Then by using another technique, they call it Japanning here, the proper name is blacking. And the women also done that here. They've done it on the top floor, the very far end of the building. The windows are open all year round, it's a very unpleasant process. You have a combination of sulfuric acid, nitric, mixed together, you heat it up, you're lowering your metal bits, your coffin handle. It's quite a quick process. Take it out, rinse it off, put a coat of clear lacquer on it, because the stain can go on your hands. And then you get an antique finish. And you get an even bigger product range. Want to pass that around? It's a round handle for women and a straight handle for men.
That's so cool, I did not know that.
It's not so formalised now, but it got ridiculous in the Edwardian Victorian period.
Yes.
There's so much
Cheers.
detail. For instance, if you were a solicitor and you had 4 horses, your colleagues would laugh at you. You're only a solicitor,
There you go,
you
mate.
only have 2 horses. Either a monarch or a duke, you can have as many as you like. But an ordinary person doesn't need that many horses.
Thank you.
Now all the boxes you see have got the stock inside them. None of the boxes are empty. So everything you see as you go around is original. We have to bring data scanners in, photograph every item, they'd strip the whole building out apart from the stamp room and take everything to the Black Country Museum.
Mm-hmm.
Then about 10 years later, 12 years later, get all the data out, all the photographs, and bring it all back and put it back exactly where it was. So it took us 14 years from start to finish. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask something? I'm guessing that's a breastplate in there, yeah?
Yes.
So how did they do the two different kinds of metallic finishes on it?
Yeah, well that was done with like a pitch. So you have to sandblast it or plate it, and then it's like a pitch goes on. But again, that's very formal. It depends who you are.
Look at all these old boxes
And
and all
also,
the labels.
Yeah.
Wales, it can be painted white
All original.
for the sticks.
Proper.
So it's so detailed.
Oh, what's in it, this place?
Good, yeah.
Now, and once the women have done all that, they wrap everything in brown paper parcels and put all the parcels in the hoist there. And once the hoist is full, use the ropes to load it down to the post room by the front gate. That still works, but we're not allowed to use it. We did manage to use it before the insurance got it. Now look, the shelving goes behind the hoist. That tells us the hoist was put in later on, as they got busier, more money came into the business. Now we were able to speak to some of the former workers here. We're still talking to some of them. They're quite elderly now, so they are passing on. There's about 15, but we have had some of their younger children or grandchildren come in as well. So we're still to keep the history going. Now one of them is this man here. I'm going to place this at the end of the table. If you want to read this, please. People will say, was he mad going out there at the time? But his argument was, if I don't go, somebody else will. Now we know all this because he come to tell us himself.
Oh, wow.
And this is him when he come to speak to us. And he gave us this photograph. So it's nice to get the complete history off the start. He passed away, I think it was about 1999, I think. Yeah. Now you could get everything you wanted from here: shrouds, handles, embalming fluid, cavity fluid. But it does come with a guarantee. It's safe, strong and sure. They never had a complaint. It was made in Glasgow. We think they were buying it in bigger bottles and putting it into smaller bottles to maximise their profits. We want to pass that round. Do have a look at it. The bottom might fall off, but photograph it as well if you want to.
Oh.
So to stop your jaw dropping open in the coffin, use one of these, a chin coffin. Just place it in there, tighten it up, and it keeps you there. They don't use them so much today. Apparently, they can glue your mouth shut now as well. If you want to pass that along, if you want to be photographed with it, please do. People do. Have you ever wondered why, when you see a hearse driving around, the reefs don't move about? There's two types of coffins. And one of them has a hole in it. So you can tie the flowers to it, the reefs. Okay. Thank you. Now this box on the table here is a reproduction of Mr. Allen's only motorcycle painting. So as you come down, you look on the top shelf there,
Get one of
Mr.
them.
Allen's motorcycle painting in the 19th.
Class, innit?
It's
Yeah.
very, very relevant. The gun here was in that corner there. Some of Joyce's ex-colleagues, mainly the women, would call in for a cup of tea with her and help her out for no extra pay. The lady come in one day and Joyce said, can you do me a favour? Can you pack a parcel for me? The lady packed it over there. She then shouted to Joyce, Joyce, I've done it. Then Joyce come out the office and said, that's it, now we're closed. And that was in 1999. Would you like to follow me, please?
The ashes there.
Ashes? Yeah.
Too old.
Conservation work,
I work on the trains. I work on the trains.
on the train.
Yeah.
Yourself?
I'm a teacher.
We're on half term, aren't we?
Yeah.
Hey, see how happy we are.
Welcome to the sewing room, or later on it was known as the shroud room. There was 15 women worked in here, 15 sewing machines were very, very noisy. I think this was the busiest place in the factory. You have to do everything separately, sleeves, collars, but you don't do pockets. You don't have pockets on the shroud. You don't need them where you're going. Can anyone tell which is the male shroud or the female shroud? What's your best guess?
My sense would be male, female.
Sorry.
I would agree with you, yeah. Now, Newmans are a business. They do not want to lose money. So the man said, I want to be buried in this. They say you can't, it's designed for health. They would lose money. All they do is make a slight adjustment, like put a bow on it, and it's a man's shroud. Take the bow off, it's back to a woman's shroud. So that way you don't lose money. Shrouds are open on the back, there's no zips, no buttons, to save you moving the person about unnecessarily. And because they're very similar to hospital gowns, they make hospital gowns here as well. Also, the women make religious clothing occasionally. So this is definitely the busiest place in the factory. And they had to ensure the 15 shrouds left this room in every 8-hour shift, along with all the other work. Has anybody heard of pinking scissors or pinking shears?
Yeah.
This is a pinking machine.
Oh.
A local textile company went broke years ago. John Kelly and Di Davis brought all the machines back here, then extended the room and started concentrating on shrouds. That's when the name changed to shroud room. You place your material on the back here. You then turn this little handle and it brings the material up underneath the blade. You then turn that big wheel and the blade goes up and down and it picks it for you. And you can also put different shaped edges on. Have a look through that material if you want to. You can also see on the cardboard the different edges. And it shakes the floorboards when you use it.
Does it still work? It still works?
But yeah, we're not allowed to use
No.
it. We could theoretically go back into production.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, Newmans reached their peak in the 1930s. The First World War wasn't too bad for them, if there's such a thing. Then we quickly went to a Second World War. The restrictions were harsher, and the company went broke. They refinanced the company, and they struggled on. And then in the 60s, the government updated the Cremation Act. 40% of all funerals in Britain by then were cremation, even though it was against people's belief system, because it was more economical. They said it's a bit unnecessary to go through someone's remains and get all the metal fittings out. So it's got to be plastic from now on for cremation. You can have metal on burial, but it's got to be plastic for cremation. And that's a massive blow to the industry. Everybody was geared up for metal work. Humans were too scared to do the extra investment, and then Britain slid into recession. And that's when Newman Brothers decided we've had enough. They stopped maintaining the building to such a good standard. They stopped all the training programs, and as people left, they made no attempt to fix it. So it's a combination of things: recession, legislation, and wartime. But we're going to go down this way now. Now look at the sewing machine. It's become this way. Now, one of the managers was a very, very keen football fan. He never missed his local team. And in 1976, there was a heat wave on. So he thought to himself, I'll let the crowd go, and when the stadium's empty, I'll walk home. It's such a nice day. And while he was waiting, he came up with a new business venture. Why don't you get buried in your football coloured shroud, your team colours? Now you may want to look away, some of you. His team was Aston Villa.
Yay!
You could probably get West Brom Blues, I don't know, but this is definitely the Villa shroud. You want to photograph that, you can. Some people like to hold it under their chin and be photographed. Football shroud.
That's it, mate. Perfect.
We've got one in here, a Villa shroud. It's paid for, and the wife never came for it. So he probably told his mates, the shroud's ready, lads, I'll be buried in my Villa shroud. And his wife's thinking, no, you're probably buried him in the blue shroud. Now another worker we're still in touch with, we haven't spoken to her in a very long time. She contacted us a while ago and said she'd like to come back for one last visit. She's developing dementia. Now she come here to tell us about her working life here. She brought this photograph. She said you can have the photograph. That wedding dress was made from here. Do pass it around, but please keep it over the table. We can't replace it. She had to get married. That was her problem. 1960. It was still frowned upon back then, and even in the 70s, to have a baby when you weren't married. Now, my husband-to-be wasn't bothered. He wanted to pay for the wedding dress outright. He wanted to start the marriage with no debts. But Sheila didn't want that. She wanted to be married when the baby came. Now, the workers could have small offcuts for nothing. Anything bigger than that, you got to buy it. Sheila could not afford that much material. So her solution was, I'll pinch it, bit at a time. So what she would do, she'd come in earlier than normal, find the bits she thought were useful, hide them, then just before she went home, she would go over there, all the other girls who were over there, 15 of them, all in that corner, washing their hands, smoking, and taking in turns to get to the sink. What they're actually doing was hiding Sheila, putting the material underneath her belly, her bump, blending it in, putting the loose pieces in the knickers, put a coat over it, put the small pieces in my pocket, and she would scully off home and make the dress at home. The only condition was, don't talk about my wedding. Be as quiet as you can about it. Because the managers and workers used to go to each other's weddings. She was hoping by being quiet about her wedding, the managers might not turn up at the last minute. But that wasn't going to work, was it? So a couple of weeks before the wedding, the dress was finished. Then on the Friday before the wedding, they're all over there, 15 of them, washing their hands, having a cigarette and saying, we hope the weather stays nice. All the managers came into the room, said, all the best for Sunday, Sheila, we'll see you at the church. As they left the room, She turned to her colleagues and said, I'm finished here. I won't have a job after my honeymoon.
Yeah.
She came through that door after honeymoon. All the girls were going, what's the hotel like? What's the weather? She said, never mind that. Have I still got a job? Did they talk about my dress? I said, no, they never said a word. But for the next couple of weeks at break time, at least 2 managers would come into the room, look for the big offcuts and take them downstairs and put them on the table outside the office door. It was their way of saying, we know what went on, but it will never happen again. I think if she'd done it on her own, they would have sacked her. Because everybody else was involved, that was the best solution. Let it go just this once. And I took a young girl on many, many years ago. Her name was Dolly Dunsby. She was 14. Her job was to regulate the tea breaks and do a bit of cleaning. They bought her a new trolley, tea trolley, new cups and saucers, and it got known as Dolly's trolley. I don't know why, but all tea ladies are called Dolly. She'll leave a trolley here, walk around to this tea station, read the list here, and put the milk and sugar in your cup for you. She would then switch on the kettle, shout to the women, the kettle's on, have your break. Then all the women would get up and come over here. Dolly would then push her tea trolley into the hoist at the end of the room, close the door, then use the ropes to lower it to the next floor. She would then go down the stairs and do that list. Then lower it to the ground floor, go down the stairs and do that list. Then over the years she learned to work in more or less every single department in the factory. Then later in life she became an unofficial manager. That's the title without the pay. She did all that work for 60 years. And when she retired at 75, she only won if she was out shopping and it was break time. She could knock on the door and they let her in to have lunch with her ex-colleagues. They always had a birthday card for her in the office. 2 weeks before her 80th, they rang her at home. They'd never done that before. That was to make sure she didn't go anywhere else. They said, don't get to call into the office in a couple of weeks' time to get your birthday card. She came in, she went up to the office and they said, we're ever so sorry, Dolly, it's down in the warehouse. The women are still signing it, your friends. Let's go and get it. They went down to the warehouse and it was actually a surprise birthday party.
Oh.
And luckily we have a photograph of it. Some of her grandchildren are there apparently. Some of the former managers come to see her. Want to pass that round? They also paid for her and her brother to go on a coach trip to Scotland, starting at Gretna Green as part of a birthday celebration. The photograph here was taken outside the big window by the stamp room, about 1920, 1930. The workers had to pay to be in the photograph. Now this photograph was the equivalent of £300 by today's standards. It's a very clumsy process. They would develop the plate on site and he would have an assistant. There were 77 workers here at the time. There's only 25 in the photo. We reckon the rest of them said, go and buy your head. We're not paying you a penny or tuppence to be in your company photo. You also notice the young boys at the front, 12 to 14 years old. They would go around all over the factory, they'd work everywhere, look after the horse, and they would have to go to the pub to fetch all the men. They would know every pub in the area. Want to pass that round, please? You also notice how dirty the windows are. They're jet black. Also, the windows are broken. When the windows broke, if they weren't important, they didn't fix them.
Cheers.
There's a little box here with a swear tin.
The cups ain't very clean, are they? Don't leave it. I'll let yourself down a bit, love.
Welcome to the office. This is exactly how we found it. They've never had a computer here. The most advanced thing they had here was a 1980s telephone system. Now we know for a fact we supplied the fittings for Winston Churchill's funeral, Princess Diana, the Queen Mother, Julie Garland, Josie Chamberlain, Wally Simpson. So we have done it for lots of rich people and famous people and monarchies from all over the world. So we consider the two brothers set out to be a successful Birmingham company, and it became a global company. Now this lady here is Joyce Green. It's her wish this place be saved. She started work when she was 17 at her uncle's factory over the road. He made metal fittings and he also made casket seals. So we sent Joyce over here to get more work experience, but she never managed to sell anything. So we said to her, from now on, always have your lunch breaks at Newman's, not with us, and find out information and gossip. We're trying to get a spy into the factory. But Joyce didn't do that either. Then one day she was sitting there having a dinner with them, and they said, in 2 weeks' time, Joyce, we got a bus coming and we're going on our annual factory outing to Blackpool. We do it every year. Why don't you join us? So she jumped on the bus with them, 4 o'clock Friday, and we headed off to Blackpool for the weekend. As she was actually travelling there, her uncle dropped dead in the office. She knew nothing about it because of lack of telephones. She got off the bus, 8 o'clock Monday morning, had a great time in Blackpool, walked round the corner. The secretary was waiting for her outside her uncle's factory, told her what had happened. Your uncle passed away on Friday and we're now closing the business. So she's losing the job as well. So she crossed over the road to Newman's, they consoled her, done her a cup of tea and said, why don't you come and work for us then? That's how she ended up in there. She was 17 and a half by then. That tells us she had 6 months experience at her uncle's office. Now this office was chaotic. She put an index system in, a filing system in, she updated the typewriters, and she got one of the first ever telephone answering machines. And when she was 18, the factory was up for its annual pay rise. And she said, can I buy any shares instead? I said, no you can't, it's cheeky of you to ask. You're only 18 and you're not a manager. Only managers can have shares. So she said to them, I will forego all future pay rises for shares instead. They agreed to that and they gave her 2 shares. It wasn't a lot, but it was a start. But you had to keep it secret. But you can't keep it secret. It leaked out, and some of the workers found out they were very angry. They said, some of us have been here 25 years, 35 years, and you've always turned us down for shares because we're not managers. She's not a manager, she's only been here 6 months and she got shares already. We are not happy about this. So that started Joyce's unpopularity with some of the workers for the rest of her working life here, mainly the men. But Joyce shrugged it off. She spent most of her time in the office. Then as the years went by, she became the majority shareholder of the company. She was the go-to person to sell your shares to. Then by the 70s, she was the majority shareholder. The 2 remaining shareholders said the only condition is, if things improve, you've got to give us the shares back. But they both died within 6 months of each other from cancer. Joyce had a talk with both families and they said, it's yours, Joyce, you can have it. Joyce is now the owner of the factory. But by then, the 70s, things had dropped off dramatically. The workforce had dropped to about 30 people. So they agreed to reduce the working week for managers and the workers to go home at 2 o'clock on Friday. Instead of using 2 separate doors for the managers and workers, they all followed each other on the Friday, locked the doors behind them and went out the front door at 2 o'clock on Friday. But then they began to linger, and Friday slowly became party night. They were staying here from 2 o'clock till 7 o'clock every Friday till the factory closed. Apparently they had whiskey optics on here, brandy, gin, there's rice water jugs, sherry, champagne. What I'm going to do now, let you through to this side. The shoes under the desk are Joyce's day shoes. The glasses on the back of the desk are the ones she's wearing in the photograph.
That typewriter, man.
Yeah.
Mad that, isn't it?
There's a magazine there, a Winston Churchill film. You can touch that, it's not collection.
Oh, okay.
You turn the pages over.
There, innit? You see, girl. Do we have to wait till 2 o'clock then?
Yeah,
Or can we start early?
And the black and white photograph on the wall there is Joyce on the right without the glasses.
Okay.
And there's the lady on the left. We're not sure who she is.
Okay.
Negotiated with different people, eventually she sold it to the
We'll have to come back in at 2 o'clock for that.
Yeah. Have a good drink.
She also ran it from her house, out of the garage. She said to her neighbours, you know what I do for a living, but from now on, you see hearses coming to my house and will be going in and out of my garage. Do not phone the police. I'm not doing anything suspicious. Now I'd like to follow me this way, please. Now the go-to handle for royalty is Gothic, and this is Newman's version of Gothic. It's not the guard dog. And it's got the letters MB pressed into it so you can't copy it. Anyone can have a Gothic handle, but it's the favourite of royalty. If you want to come through, please, have a look around. There's Winston Churchill's photograph, Joseph Chamberlain.
Sorry.
Here, a semi-state funeral and to be buried in Westminster Palace. Returned to death. He's buried in the Georgian Quarter, and his family home is open to the public as well. Warstone. It's a very nice house. Up there, the breastplate with the white paint on it, that was found in a shop in Scotland. And it's definitely one of ours, and it's painted white in Scotland because it represents the spinster.
With men's coffin furniture, it's tended to be brass and velvet.
Superb. Good, that was. Good tour.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
You place your card on there lengthwise, the other way up, that's it. Press that down hard as you can. That's it. There's your proof.
Fantastic. Thank you for this.
Thank you. If you want to use the coffee shop, it's open there.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks.